Hi, I'm Toni from One Port at a Time, and welcome to Tell It to Toni. Hi, welcome back to another edition of Tell It to Toni, where I ask the questions and you give me the answers. I have posted another question on social media, and this one is: what is your craziest or funniest thing that has happened to you on a cruise ship? And I did say, let's keep it PG. All right, I have some really funny ones. So let's make sure to stay to the end of the video because you don't want to miss a thing. All right, here we go. I don't know if we should start out kind of mild or how we should go into this. All right. So this one is kind of interesting, I guess you would say. Stephanie J. So she said that she was asked to judge the hairiest man contest. The guy that she chose, he really wasn't hairy at all, but he had beautiful dreads. He didn't win, but they became friends and they stayed in touch via social media. And now, drum roll please, he is one of the newest doctors on Grey's Anatomy. I've never watched that show, but I sure am going to tune in to find out what that was all about. Oh boy. Tom M. He went to the wrong room, which was one door next to his. The door was cracked open, and he got into bed with his mother-in-law. Oh, that had to be interesting. All right, those of you that have been on a balcony room and stayed in a balcony room, I should say, Lynn C. She always likes to sit out on the balcony early morning with coffee, nice and quiet. The sun was up and she heard the neighbor's door open and someone came out. Now, she said, if you've never stayed in a balcony, it has glass so you could see the reflection. And I agree with that. Well, this gentleman, not knowing I was there, pranced out, stark naked, sat down, propped his feet up on the glass, and the reflection gave her an upfront view. Needless to say, she cleared her throat, he jumped up, and he ducked back into the room. That's never happened to me. I've stayed in a lot of balconies. That's never happened to me. Okay. Sherry Y says, my ex-husband and I participated in the newlywed, not so newlywed game. We were a little too honest on stage, but thankful that our friends and teenager were not in the audience. Unfortunately, our segment kept playing on loop on the TVs in the rooms. She couldn't get away from that, could she? All right. Cheryl S. On our first cruise many years ago, my husband and I went on the booze cruise excursion. Just that, we're interested to find out what happened after that. We went to a private island. He got so drunk. We were still using a camera back then. Back in the day, cameras and film. Girls were taking their tops off, and he started taking all these pictures of these topless girls so that he could take it back to the firehouse to show his fellow firemen. He was so excited. But we found out later he forgot to turn the camera on. He was so pissed. Okay. Oh, this is hysterical. Christine W. I was smoking on deck 11. It's pertinent to say there was a shortage of ashtrays all week. There was a lady asking several people if they were done with their ashtrays, and they all said no. She approached my table, asked me where the bathroom was. It was right behind me, so I turned around to point. She grabbed my ashtray, ran and dumped it out in the trash. Then she stuffed it in her bra and ran like full speed across the deck to the elevators with the ashtray hanging halfway out of her shirt. It was so weird. Oh my gosh. If you want to hear more stories like this, make sure that you like and subscribe below. Carolyn S. On our first cruise, there was this very obnoxious family on the cruise with us. That could happen. No matter where we went, we would run into them. So while we were in Mexico, we were taking the ferry back to the mainland, and of course, this family was there too. The mom might have had a little bit too much to drink and started doing a full on pole dance routine right there on the ferry. Next thing I hear is a little voice pipe up, "Work it, mama, show us what you got." I look over to see her 8-year-old son holding up a dollar bill to his mother. Crazy family. All right. So, Mandy S., she got up early to see the sunrise. This morning, a crew member was cleaning the automatic sliding glass doors at the exit to the deck. The doors were turned off while he cleaned, so it was staying shut. She thought he opened the door, but it was still closed because the glass was so clean it appeared to be opened, and half awake that Mandy was, she walked into it so hard that she literally broke her nose. Oh my goodness. This was on the first morning of a 7-day cruise. No way, Mandy. The worst part of it was her boyfriend was laughing so hard, he didn't even ask her if she was okay. That might put a damper on your cruise there, Mandy. I don't know. Well, Mandy was just leaving for her cruise, but Steph S. was leaving to go home. So she went to guest services and she told her hubby to take her luggage and drive up front to pick her up. Well, sadly, they wouldn't let me off the ship because hubby had the bags with all of the identification in it. Now, that's not all. Customs had hubby held up because they wanted to know where wifey was. Did he throw me overboard, or was I packed up in all of that luggage he was trying to get off board without me? After about an hour, they finally brought hubby back with my ID. Lesson learned. All right, I'm going to remember that one, okay? Oh, this is hysterical. Grady S. On the first night of our Christmas 2019 cruise, we get a phone call in our cabin. "The captain would like to come visit you. Will you be there for a bit?" Oh, heck yeah. This is going to be awesome. Well, he came along with the head of security. Apparently, our 8-year-old was tossing his Hot Wheels off of our aft balcony. Glad they were extremely understanding. This is a really sweet one. KJ. On my second cruise, when I was at the sail-away party and looking over the rail as the ship sailed out of Miami, I was wishing that my mom was here and able to go on a cruise before she passed away. Seconds later, a woman gently grabbed my shoulder and she simply said, "She is here. She's here," and walked away. My knees got weak and I almost passed out. I never saw that lady again for the entire 3 days on the ship. That's freaky. Wow. Scott Z. My parents were the old couple on the Love and Marriage show, and my dad's name is Larry. The audience was chanting, "Larry, Larry, Larry," just like Jerry on the Jerry Springer show. I think a couple of more years of therapy, and I should be able to mentally block out most of it. Stephanie H. says, "My bikini top flew off the balcony, and later on the cruise, I saw this big guy with it tied around his neck with a note saying, 'Looking for the tatas that this belongs to.'" Oh my, oh, Kathy P. Her hubby is in big trouble for this one. We got into an elevator and I was one of the last ones in, and the elevator door closed and opened back up, and a sign came on that said, "Overweight limit." So my husband pushed me out. We laugh about it now. I don't know if I'd be laughing if my husband did that. Jennifer S., and this is something very similar to something that happened to me, but let me tell you what Jennifer S. says. The kids and hubby were out at the pool, and I was getting ready for a formal dinner, so I took a long shower, which takes a while when you have to wash and condition your hair, shave, shower. I left the bathroom door open since I was alone, and I was hoping it wouldn't get too steamy. Apparently, the rest of the cabin got too steamy. I set off the fire alarms, and a bunch of anxious staff showed up banging on my door in fire gear. Whoops, I never left the door open showering again. And I'll tell you, something similar happened to me. I was drying my hair over by the mirror, and it got too hot, so it set off the alarm. The next thing I know, the phone rang, and they said they were calling from the bridge because alarms were going off in the room, and they wanted to find out if we were okay. Meanwhile, my husband was in the shower. He wouldn't have been too happy if they would have come banging on the door in fire gear. So I can relate to that. Jennifer S. Okay, oh, this is funny. Bethany T. She was chatting with a lady at the casino bar. I don't remember the conversation, but she got worked up to the point that her dentures shot out of her mouth. Not only that, but she caught them mid-air and popped them back in. She started apologizing, but I was laughing so hard I cried. I told her it was the best thing I had seen all week. That must have been hysterical. Okay. Now, this is Joe P. claims this is an absolutely true story. All right, let's see. In 1981, I was on my first cruise on the Rotterdam with my ex and 7 other couples sailing from New York City to Bermuda. In Bermuda, you have to tender to the island. Now, that happens on a lot of different cruise ships. You still have to tender to the different ports. Well, a good friend of mine and his wife went back to their cabin, and his wife changed into a sexy negligee and proceeded to put on a little show for her husband. Halfway through her show, he noticed a bunch of faces pressed against the portal. They didn't realize that the tenders were tying up right outside their room. Needless to say, his wife was quite embarrassed, but not as embarrassed when she came into the main dining room that night for dinner, and the entire dining room stood up and gave her a standing ovation. Once again, Joe P. says this is an absolutely true story. That's pretty funny. Okay, let's see where we are. Jill P. I was relaxing by the pool in a lounge chair that backed up to the rail. A little boy about 6 walked up beside my chair and appeared to look out over the rail at the ocean. I heard something and I asked the boy what he was doing. He said nonchalantly, "I'm peeing." And he was. If you want to hear more stories from fellow cruisers like yourself, please make sure to like and subscribe below. Thank you for joining me for Tell It to Toni, and I will see you next time. Have a beautiful day.